A jury has found two luxury real estate agents and their brother guilty of sex trafficking. Prosecutors accused the three Alexander brothers of using their money and influence to lure women into luxury trips and parties where they would drug, assault, and rape women for more than a decade. The brothers' attorneys argue in court that while the brothers' behavior could be seen as crude or inappropriate, they did not commit a federal crime. And we see Stephen Romo and Misty Maris joining us now on this. Stephen, the brothers face up to life in prison. Talk about what we saw over the course of this trial. Bring us all up to date.
Yeah, Tom, this trial going on for more than a month, and the allegations from these 11 accusers we heard from, they were hard to listen to. The brothers, of course, denying these accusations that they drugged and raped these women and girls. Two of the women said that they felt paralyzed before they were assaulted by Orrin and Alon Alexander. Prosecutors also said Orrin Alexander videotaped himself with an incapacitated 17-year-old girl back in 2009. That led to the charge of exploitation of a minor. The brothers were accused of using their wealth and status to lure these women in. And prosecutors say they used a playbook of repeated tactics with the women and girls over the course of years. Now, the defense tried to undermine that, saying that the sex was consensual and that prosecutors were really trying to criminalize dating. The brothers' attorneys also kind of admitted that the men were womanizers, but said that it's not criminal. The defense team had asked the jurors in closing to not just convict these men because they did not like their lifestyle, saying that it wasn't a crime. But the jurors, they didn't agree. They sided with the prosecution. Yeah. We actually have a statement from the prosecution that we just got in saying this verdict cannot undo the effects of heinous abuse the Alexanders' many victims endured, but it does send a message. New Yorkers want to bring an end to sex trafficking in all our communities. Tom?
Misty, what do you think was the key moment here or testimony in this trial that led to this verdict, and how severe do you think the sentence is likely to be?
Tom, so as Stephen laid out, there were 11 victims who testified, two who were underage at the time that they were allegedly raped by the Alexander brothers. And that testimony was very, very impactful. It showed a pattern of conduct, similarities between the stories of those victims who took the stand. But in addition to that, there was an electronic footprint that was incredibly difficult for the defense to contest. There were messages between the brothers, texts and emails, and a blog which set out what was called a playbook and a section that said, "It's not rape if," listing all of these things that the Alexander brothers were accused of doing and ultimately convicted of. So I do believe that led to the conviction. As far as penalty, there's a 15-year mandatory minimum for the sex trafficking conviction. The judge can tack on more. They face up to life. Each brother will be looked at individually, and they will be able to submit pre-sentencing reports in July, and ultimately they'll be sentenced in August. They'll be looking at the pattern of the crime, the nature of the crime, but also taking into account that they don't have a criminal history.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss this administration's massive cover-up of the Epstein files in order to conceal President Trump's involvement. This cover-up reached its apex last month when Attorney General Pam Bondi falsely testified under oath before the House Judiciary Committee. The Attorney General testified, quote, "There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that," unquote. This is a lie. In the 3 million or so documents that the DOJ has disclosed to Congress under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, there is credible evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. And that, of course, excludes the nearly 3 million pages that the DOJ is refusing to turn over. Donald Trump is mentioned thousands of times in the Epstein files. There are multiple allegations that he sexually assaulted young girls. But I want to focus on one victim's allegations that the FBI unquestionably found to be credible. The DOJ tried to hide reports of 3 of the 4 interviews that this victim gave to the FBI, but pressure from the media and Congress forced them to disclose them. And now we know why. She credibly accuses Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her when she was between 13 and 15. In each of her interviews, this victim recited the same account of her interaction with Donald Trump. On August 7th, 2019, she explained that she was between 13 and 15 when she was left alone with Donald Trump, who, quote, mentioned something to the effect of, "Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be." Trump unzipped his pants and put her head down, quote, down to his penis, bit the S out of it. Trump struck the victim and said words to the effect of, "Get this little B the hell out of here." The victim advised that she bit Trump's penis because he disgusted her. She provided some additional details in the next interview 2 weeks later, and then a month later, she met again with the FBI and asked, quote, what the point would be of providing the information at this point in her life when there was a strong possibility nothing could be done about it. She didn't speak to the FBI again. But the FBI certainly found her story credible. In a 21-page PowerPoint presentation that the FBI made to prosecutors, they included this victim's testimony. They would not have done so if they did not find the evidence credible, which means that Attorney General Bondi lied when she stated under oath that there is no evidence that Donald Trump committed a crime. But we're just scratching the surface, because the Epstein files also reveal that Donald Trump has made false statements over the past quarter century about Jeffrey Epstein. We know in 2002 he called him a terrific guy and said, quote, "It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." In a birthday card 2003 that Donald Trump gave to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday, Donald wrote for himself that we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Enigmas never aged. Have you noticed that? A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. But in that same year, Palm Beach County opened an investigation into Epstein that eventually was turned over to the FBI. The investigation became public in 2006, and the Palm Beach County police chief
Former Florida police chief has said that he received a call from Donald Trump back in 2006 in which Mr. Trump told him everyone knew about the convicted sex offender. The accounts contained in an FBI document seen in the latest batch of the Epstein files. The officer's name is redacted, but Michael Reiter has told the Miami Herald that he was the person who received that call from Mr. Trump. The US president's consistently denied any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein and said he did not know about his crimes. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse are campaigning for a new law in the name of the most high-profile survivor, Virginia Giuffre, who of course is no longer alive. Members of her family joined Democrats to announce the plan for Virginia's law, which would remove the statute of limitations, those time limits, to file lawsuits in sexual abuse cases. Well, to pass that into law, it would require a majority vote in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, as well as the signature of President Trump. Well, Virginia Giuffre's brother, Sky Roberts, said his sister, who took her own life in April, had wanted change and to bring light into a world that pushes abuse into the shadows.
Received a call quickly after from Donald Trump, where Trump told him, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." What innocent person calls the police chief about an investigation upon just learning about it? The recent documents also show that Jeffrey Epstein emailed Ghislaine Maxwell and said, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Redacted victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." Trump also denied that he ever went on Epstein's plane. But of course, the Southern District of New York said that he was on his plane 8 times, often with young women. The reason why this matters is because we don't have half of the Epstein files. And if the Attorney General is covering this up in such a degree that she is redacting things from Congress, that she then, redacting things from the public that she then shows to Congress, what else is she covering up? And I would just show that this document here was redacted to the public, it was unredacted to Congress, and it completely disputes everything that Donald Trump has said about Jeffrey Epstein, about what he knew about the allegations, about his disgusting behavior, about whether he'd ever been to Epstein's house, saying, "I may have been there with my wife." Asked if any young girls were there. No. He may have had children of guests, but that's it. Well, we know that's not the case. Now, why is this important? Because if the Attorney General is covering up this information that she then reveals to Congress, what else is she covering up about Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files?